Ungrateful freeloader. My family betrayed me in the worst way. The world shattered in slow motion. One minute I was sipping coffee, basking in the glow of success. The next was staring at a digital dagger plunged deep into my heart. It all started with a harmless-looking Facebook notification from my beloved great Aunt Maggie. A video, a family gathering. Innocuous enough, right? Wrong. Horribly, devastatingly wrong. My aunt posted a video with my parents revealing that I'm an ungrateful freeloader, despite the fact that I've been funding their comfortable life. So, I severed all contact with them and cut off the money train. I grew up in the shadow of a star. That star was my older sister, Lily. Our house was always a revolving door, filled with uncles, cousins they put into our backyard like ants to a picnic. Our backyard was like a stage, with its neatly trimmed lawn and a big oak tree that provided the perfect backdrop. Lily, sweetie, why don't you give us a little song? And she would, clearing her throat dramatically, launching into her famous Celine Dion impression of My Heart Will Go On. It wasn't that I didn't want to join in, but every time I opened my mouth to sing, it sounded like a cat being strangled. And poetry, forget about it. I'd overheard my relatives whispering. She's so unlike her sister. Mom and Dad made it abundantly clear who the star of the family was. Singing lessons for Lily, art workshops or Lily. I was left to my own devices. Not that I minded much. The only person who seemed to truly see me was great Aunt Maggie. She'd find me hiding behind the garage or up in the treehouse. What adventure are you on today? Come on, she'd ask, settling down beside me. Oh, just reading about ancient Egypt, I'd say, showing her the cover of my latest find. You've got a good head on your shoulders, she'd say. Don't let anyone tell you differently. Those moments with Maggie were like balm to my soul. She didn't expect me to perform or be anyone other than who I was. But as much as I cherished those moments, the disparity was stark. I got hand-me-downs in sizes too big and tinged with exasperation. School became my sanctuary. I wasn't content to just sit there and let the lessons wash over me. No, I was determined to understand everything the teacher said. Mrs. Thompson, I'd say after class, could you explain a bit about mitosis again? I didn't quite get it. She'd smile. Of course, Cameron, why don't we go over it together? If a teacher couldn't spare the time, I'd ask for book recommendations. Soon, my backpack was always bulging with extra reading material. I'd stay up late, poring over those books. All that hard work paid off. By the time I hit high school, I was top of my class. For once in my life, I was the best at something. I even made a few friends at other bookworms who understood my quiet ways. As graduation approached, Lily was busy assembling her portfolio for the advertising and PR program at some fancy college. Oh, honey, you're so talented. Mom would gush. I'd roll my eyes and retreat to my room, burying myself in my studies. I'm going to college too, I blurted out one day. I want to study. The silence that followed was deafening. Then, to my shock and her, they all burst out laughing. Oh, sweetie, Mom said, dripping with condescension. We don't have money for that. You'll need to get a job after graduation. You're just not as gifted as your sister. I felt like I had been slapped, but I'm the top student in my class. I retorted, my face burning with anger and embarrassment. I get straight A's. Well, I'll be damned, Dad muttered, scratching his head. When did this happen? It's been happening for years. I snapped. Not that any of you ever noticed. Mom at least had the decency to look ashamed. Cameron, we had no idea. But Dad cut her off. Look, it doesn't change anything. We spent all our savings on Lily's education. There's nothing left for you. Cameron, I'm sorry, but that's just how it is. You'll go to work at my cousin Frank's restaurant after graduation. I turned and ran, ignoring their calls, slamming the door so hard the walls rattled. Fine, I thought, my hands clenched into fists. If they won't help me, I'll find another way. I'll show them all what Cameron can do. The next few months were a blur of furious studying. I threw myself into my work with renewed vigor, determined to graduate at the top of my class. During this time, I found myself spending more and more time with great Aunt Maggie. One afternoon, as we sat in her sunlit kitchen, sipping tea, she asked a question I had been dreading. Cameron, dear, she said, how kind eyes fixed on me. What are your plans after graduation? Fighting back tears, I said, I don't know, Aunt Maggie. Mom and Dad won't help me with college. They say there's no money left after paying for Lily's education. Maggie was quiet for a moment, then reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Cameron, dear, I've got some savings. I'd like to give them to you. You're as smart as a whip, and I'll be damned if I let that brain of yours go to waste. The reality of her words hit me like a tidal wave, a wave of gratitude, of generosity, and the sudden realization that my dreams weren't dead after all. Thank you, I sobbed, throwing my arms around her. Thank you so much, Aunt Maggie. The months flew by, and before I knew it, I was walking across the stage at graduation, diploma in hand. As I scanned the crowd, I saw my parents were there too, looking proud, but uncomfortable. That evening, as I pored over college brochures, Mom entered, her voice syrupy sweet. Cameron, honey, She said, your father's cousin Frank called. He's got a waitressing job for you at his restaurant. Isn't that exciting? I took a deep breath. Actually, Mom, I won't be needing that job. I'm going to college. Lily appeared in the doorway, frowning. And how exactly do you plan to pay to that? Then, to my disbelief, she added, if Maggie's got money to spare, she needs to buy Lily a car for her job advertising after she graduates next year. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Are you serious? I said, my voice dripping with ice. This is my chance to get an education, to make something of myself. Don't be selfish. Cameron. Mom snapped, your sister needs that money more than you do. No, I said, my voice shaking but firm. This is my money now, and I'm using it for college. End of discussion. From that moment on, life at home became unbearable. My parents either ignored me completely or snapped at me over the smallest things. After a particularly nasty argument, Maggie intervened. Pack your bags, sweetheart, she said without hesitation. You're moving in with me. As I pulled up to Aunt Maggie's house, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. The summer flew by in a whirlwind of preparation. Then, on a crisp autumn morning, I was stepping onto the campus of State University. Thanks to my stellar grades and Aunt Maggie's generosity, I was finally there. During my first day of classes, I felt like I was floating on air. As I sat in my introduction to business lecture, drinking in every word, I couldn't help but think, I made it. I'm really here. Meanwhile, Lily was starting her senior year at her fancy college. I hadn't heard much from her or my parents since I moved out, but I tried not to let it bother me. I was too busy reveling in my newfound freedom and the excitement of college life. But then, about a month into the semester, Maggie called me. Cameron, dear, she said, her voice tight, I think you should sit down for this. My heart raced as she filled me in on the family drama I'd missed. Apparently, Lily had shown up at home out of the blue. The reason? She was pregnant. According to Aunt Maggie, Lily's initial reaction was, oh, don't worry, tossing her hair. The baby's father is loaded. We'll be getting married soon. But the story didn't end there. When the father found out she'd been sleeping with his friend too, all hell broke loose. I sat there, phone pressed to my ear, part of me feeling a twisted sense of satisfaction. The golden child had fallen from her pedestal. The saga continued over the next few months as Maggie kept me updated on all the gossip from the family gatherings I no longer attended. When Lily's baby was born, a DNA test confirmed her ex-boyfriend was indeed the father. But instead of the fairy tale wedding Lily had envisioned, she was left single, jobless, and with a child to care for. The final blow came when Lily, played desperate for work, took a job as a waitress at Uncle Frank's restaurant. As I hung up the phone, I felt a whirlwind of emotions. There was a small, petty part of me that wanted to gloat, but mostly, I just felt sad. 4 years flew by in a blur of lectures, late night study sessions, and newfound friendships. Before I knew it, I was walking across the stage at graduation again, this time with a business degree in hand. Thanks to my top grades and glowing recommendations from my professors, I landed a coveted management position at one of the most prestigious restaurants in the city, the Gilded Spoon. The salary was more than I ever dreamed of, and for the first time in my life, I felt truly successful. With my first paycheck, I marched into the electronics store and bought the latest smartphone for Aunt Maggie. Her face lit up when I presented it to her. Oh, Cameron, she gasped, turning the sleek device over in her hands. This is too much? Not at all, I said, grinning. Now, let me show you how to use it. Over the next few weeks, I taught her the ins and outs of social media. She took to it like a duck to water. Soon, her page was filled with photos of her garden, her cat, and the occasional inspirational quote. I'd watch her videos during my lunch break. It was our way of staying connected. One day, as I was preparing for the dinner rush, my phone rang. I glanced at it, surprised to see my mother's name on the screen. We hadn't spoken in years. Cameron, she began tentatively. Hi, we were hoping you might come over. After a long pause, I agreed. The following Sunday, I found myself standing on the porch of my childhood home, my hand hovering over the doorbell. My mother pulled me into a tight hug. Oh, sweetie, it's so good to see you. Inside, I found my father, looking older and more subdued than I remembered. The atmosphere was tense but not hostile, like I'd feared. You look good, kiddo, Dad said, offering a weak smile. We hear you're doing well for yourself. I am, I said, my voice carefully neutral. Their eyes widened at the mention of the restaurant. Mom cleared her throat. That's wonderful, dear. Actually, that's part of why we wanted to talk to you. Over the next hour, they apologized for how they treated me. They admitted they were wrong to favor Lily and to dismiss my ambitions. It was a start, but I remained wary. Then came the real reason for the reunion. Cameron, Mom said, glancing at Lily, who sat silently in the corner. We were hoping. Well, we were wondering if you might be able to help Lily get a job at your restaurant. I looked at my sister. She wouldn't meet my eyes. I'll see what I can do, I said, non-committally. The next day, I spoke to Mr. Reed, the owner of the Gilded Spoon, about Lily. To my surprise, he agreed to give her a shot as a hostess. Lily started the following week. I watched her closely, half expecting her to fail or cause drama. But to my shock, she was punctual, efficient, and the customers loved her charm. As the weeks passed, Lily and I cautiously began to rebuild our relationship. We weren't best friends by any means, but we were civil, even friendly. Just when I thought I had everything figured out, the universe decided to throw me another curveball. Mr. Reed called me into his office one day. My heart raced. Had I done something wrong? Instead, he said, "Cameron, how would you like to help me expand the business? I want to open a second location downtown, and I think you're the perfect person to manage it." My days became a whirlwind of staff meetings, menu tastings, and number crunching. It was exhausting, exhilarating, and everything I ever dreamed of. The promotion came with a significant pay bump, and suddenly I found myself with more money and I knew what to do with. At first, it was just small things. "The roof is leaking," Mom would say hesitantly. "We were wondering if you might be able to help out a little." I was surprised at how good it felt to say yes, to be able to solve their problems with a simple transfer of funds. It started with a roof, then there was a new water heater, and before long, I was funding a complete home renovation. As their financial situation improved, thanks to my monthly allowance, the infamous family party started up again. But this time, when I attended, things were different. "That's my daughter," Mom would beam to the relatives. "She's opening a new restaurant downtown. We're so proud of her." Lily was doing well too, having been promoted to head hostess at the Gilded Spoon. "My girls," Dad would say, clapping us both on the back, both of them making their old man proud. Part of me wanted to be bitter, to remind them of how they treated me before, but a larger part reveled in the warmth of their approval, something I had craved for so long. As I drove home that night, I felt a sense of contentment wash over me. Finally, after all these years, I was the golden child now. But more importantly, I was my own woman, standing on my own 2 feet. It was a lazy Sunday afternoon when my world came crashing down around me. I was scrolling through Facebook, sipping my coffee, when I saw that Aunt Maggie had posted a new video. It was from one of the family gatherings I had missed due to work commitments. Smiling, I clicked play. What I saw instead made my blood run cold. There, in living color, were my parents, self-righteous, unmistakable, and Cameron, that ungrateful little freeloader. My mother was saying, her voice dripping with resentment, "She barely gives us anything. She acts like she's made of money, you know, but Lily is the one keeping that fancy restaurant afloat." My father chimed in, his face red with anger. "Cameron just rides on her coattails." The video continued with more criticism, more lies, more blatant disrespect. As the video ended, I sat there, numb. The untrue things they were saying were shaking me to my core. With shaking hands, I scrolled down to the comments. There, I saw a stream of messages from my parents. "Maggie, delete this video right now. You had no right to post this. Take it down immediately." But Aunt Maggie's response made me burst into tears. "I don't know how to delete videos, but what I do know is that Cameron is the one supporting you all. And this is how you repay her kindness. Shame on you." I sat there for what felt like hours, replaying the video, reading and rereading the comments. Finally, I messaged Aunt Maggie. "Aunt Maggie, did you post that video?" She responded almost immediately. "Cameron dear, I take it you've seen the video. I can't believe it, honey." "How could they?" Texting Cameron, "You just haven't been around to see it. Honey, I'm sorry you had to find out this way. You deserve to know the truth." We talked for hours. I poured my heart out to her, confessing all my anger, my grief, my confusion. As night fell, I made a decision. "I'm cutting them off." I told Aunt Maggie, my voice trembling but resolute. "No more money, no more help. They made their bed, and now they can lie in it." The days following the video revelation was some of the hardest of my life. My phone buzzed constantly with messages and calls from my parents, begging for forgiveness, pleading for another chance. But I couldn't bring myself to answer. Their words, so cruel and untrue, played on a loop in my mind, poisoning everything. Finally, after a week of silence, I sent them one final text. "I've seen the video. I know what you really think of me. Don't contact me again." So, here I am. The money train has stopped. The renovated house will remain as is. I'm choosing myself and my well-being for the first time. Did I do the right thing? Giving everything? Was cutting them off the only logical step?